All right, y'all, we are live. We're out here in Valley Forge. I believe it's National Park, not just State Park, here in Pennsylvania. They have an awesome creek running through here that has some wild brown trout. I don't mind sharing where I'm at on this particular occasion. It's a very popular spot, but they got some wild brown trout in here. They got some white suckers, some sunfish, that sort of thing. I was thinking about getting out on the ice today, but I just don't know what the ice totally looks like, and I don't have anybody to go with today. Bob from Anything Is Possible, I think, is up north doing some ice fishing, or he's up to something, so I couldn't go with Bob. I texted one of my buddies. He's unavailable to go out on the ice today, and I don't really want to go by myself with not knowing the conditions. So we're at a cold water creek to target some cold water species. Trout in here, suckers, as I said, that's kind of what our main two targets are. But yeah, we're gonna get the waders on. I'm on a roadside pull-off area. Normally I park up there, but I know these roadside pull-offs are here, and the spot I want to fish is like right down there. So yeah, we're gonna just kind of see what the accessibility from this roadside spot is. We got to get the waders on. I had a bucket of live worms that spilled in the back of the truck, so I got to probably collect my worms, and then we'll get to work. So took you guys up in here. You can see me as I'm bopping around. I believe I got all the worms. Oh wow, we got some chats. Missy y'all. Randy's in here, Ozark guy, awesome member. Scott B Fishing says, what up, what up? How's it going? On a roadside pull-off next to a cold water creek to target some suckers and trout today. Just getting prepped here. Came to say hi. In the woods making my vid for next week, so I can't stay. Hope it goes great. Thanks, Randy. Rod Wilson, another awesome member's in here. J-Mo. Marion Petroscu. Sorry if I messed that up. Trying to do my best. Rod says, how you doing? I'm doing great. Messed around with some things this morning, got some work done, and now we're out here to do a live. I'm going to work on some videos and all sorts of stuff this evening as well. Watch some football. Good time. I got one more week of my winter break left, and then I go back to spring semester at college. Matt says, in the airport watching when I can. Where are you headed, Matt? I know you're not coming here, but Matt is my uncle. Lives out in Colorado. Matt goes all over the place for his job, so he's likely going somewhere kind of cool. Watch him from Kenya. Keep up the good work. Back to Denver from Miami, I imagine that means. Name is difficult to say because it's Romanian and has diacritics. All right. Got 28 people in here. I got to get some other stuff prepped. We got 3 rods. We got my 6-weight fly rod, my 2-weight fly rod, and my light-powered spinning rod. So, yeah, some live worms. Got the waders, got the net, all sorts of stuff. I'm going to get the waders on, and then we'll get the rods and get ready to roll. Goodness. So it is like 28 degrees out. here in southeastern Pennsylvania today. And I had these things obviously sitting in the bed of the truck as I drove here. They are cold. They are really cold, man. Hi from the Netherlands. What are you doing? Says Neha. We are gonna go fishing. I'm just grabbing a couple things and then we're gonna get out there. The creek is literally right there. We're on a roadside pull off next to a creek here in southeastern Pennsylvania in the middle of Valley Forge National Park. I imagine sometime throughout the day I'll fill you guys in on the history of this park if you're unfamiliar, but long story short, this is where essentially George Washington and the troops in the Revolutionary War, where we won our freedom in this country, this is the park in which they spent their winter, and they kind of hunkered down here for the winter. So this park has some really, really cool history to it from all the way back when our country started. All right. Got the rods. Jump down here. All right, put that here. We got the battery pack, live bait, all that. I'm from India, give a shout out. Well, that's awesome. I love the international viewers. Make sure I turn it that way so you can't see my license plate. Cool, cool. Thought you were an army man, guessed by your jacket. No, not quite. Although technically I am old enough to be in the army, which is kind of strange, but true, I suppose. Coleregion's in. Coleregion was my first viewer of the new year. Like 1 minute after I posted the short on January 1st, Coleregion was in there giving me a comment. So Coleregion wins first viewer of 2026. Right. So I think our primary target to start out, where do you come from? I am from southeastern Pennsylvania. We are here in Valley Forge National Park today, which, as I already mentioned, is the spot where the U.S. troops in the Revolutionary War to win our freedom in this country spent the winter. So it's got a lot of cool history. 200 years. Yeah, that officially started, Declaration of Independence, all that, and it is 2026, so 250 years ago. Let's grab our rods, grab our net, see if we can make it across the creek. This little pull-off is in a super shallow zone, so there's not many fish here, but we should be able to make it across to the other side of the creek, which there's a nice trail there. This is actually a really nice pull-off. All right, got that. Got net, and we'll get you guys. Still daytime there. In Indonesia, it's already night. Yeah, you're like on the other side of the world. We've got about 3 hours till dark, which means we're in a good fishing time slot, because fish like right before dark, like right at the beginning and end of day. Fish really like that. So here's the section of creek we're next to, super shallow. We're gonna make it across, come up the trail, walk down another 100 yards or so, and that's the first spot we're gonna fish at. It's probably the most popular spot on this creek because it's super accessible and there's a lot of suckers that sit in there. But a lot of the people who fish there don't know what they're doing and are mostly going for trout. So if we go in there, we should be able to catch a sucker with live worms fairly quickly, which is kind of what I want to do, get a sucker on the board, and then we can see if we want to go for more suckers, go for trout, whatever. So I'm in the water, walking across. We're just getting across the creek into the trail. That's all I'm doing right now. I'm really good at this. Define this, the fishing part, the YouTube part. Let me know. Whoa. Right now I probably don't look like I'm good at YouTube. I'm trying to walk up a really steep hill with a camera and rods. Not the easiest thing ever. Hold on. All right, made it on the trail. There it is. And we'll walk down here and get started. Vladimir says, I'm Sean. Nice to meet you. All right, we're onto the trail. Got our worms, got our everything we need. Go down here. Oh boy. See if we see any fish down in the creek here. So this section here, it's a little bit deeper. Still not spotting any fish, but I'm not stopping too hard. I have fished this creek many times in the past. Am I lost? No, I'm perfectly where I want to be. We are fishing, and I'm at a spot that usually does pretty well for me in the winter. So, hello, how are you? Happy New Year. I'm doing well. We're out here fishing. Hopefully you're having a good time as well. All right, there's a fish. First fish spotted of the day. Hello. Thank you. So in this section it gets a little deeper. We're standing at, I'll flip the camera around in just a moment. Seeing a couple trout bopping around, and our suckers. We should have a large number of suckers that usually hang out in this pool. So we're gonna come down here and see what we can do. Typically a lot of suckers hang out here. We will see. Interesting. They're all huddled up right in the middle. They're here. They're just very congregated to one specific spot. Let's flip this around. I'll give you 50 big ones if you catch a fish in 5 minutes. Does time start when I throw the first line in, or from this point? Because I need to rig up. Let me know. I accept your challenge regardless. I'll give it a shot. What you're looking for, there are wild brown trout and white suckers in here as the primary targets for me today. All right. As soon as you cast. All right, so I'll take my time, get a good rig on the spinning rod. We already have a little hook with a good knot on there. Got our drag set well. We're gonna get pretty much a split shot, just a split shot. We're gonna crimp that on there, a medium-sized split shot, so it'll sink and not be too heavy that it won't move easily in the current. We're gonna get it down there, get ourselves some bait on there, and we're gonna see if we can get ourselves a big white sucker. I've caught some real big ones out of here. I caught a 23-inch long, probably, I think he was like 6 pounds, white sucker out of here. That's pretty good. For suckers, so when you have a split shot rig, it's a very basic rig, a lot of people use it. You have a little weight and you got a hook. It's very basic, but there's a lot of variance in how close you want your hook to your split shot. For suckers, I like to go pretty darn close, probably 2 to 3 inches is where I like. Why that is because suckers sit there on the bottom and they just feed from stuff that are in front of them. They'll eat worms, they eat little plankton, little vegetation, all sorts of stuff. They don't move a ton. So what you want to do is you want to be accurate in getting the bait, which is on the hook in front of them. But the thing you're actually manipulating, because it has weight and mass to move around, is the split shot. So you want your split shot and your weight close to one another so that you can actually manipulate your bait pretty accurately using the split shot. If you had like 7 inches here, by moving the weight with your line, your bait could actually be all over the place, but by making it close, you get pretty accurate with where you're placing your bait. So that's why I'm going to make it close. Things you would make it long for would be something like trout that are maybe more skittish, or something that you want it to float around in the current. I don't really want that. I want it to kind of sit on the bottom in front of these fish. So we're going to do that here in a moment. Let's flip this camera around. We will put you right here. I'm going to get my bait on, and we're going to cast it. All right. Are those forests haunted? No, but as I mentioned, this whole national park does have some really cool history. This is Valley Forge, the place where George Washington and the troops stayed the winter in the Revolutionary War to fight for our freedom here in this country. Where is the place? It's in southeastern Pennsylvania, Valley Forge. That's where I'm at. 1:16 p.m. here. It is 2:46 here. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can get ourselves a fish. Gonna cast it in there. If I hook one, I gotta probably walk myself down this wall to try and net it, so I may disappear if I hook one, but we'll see. That's cool to know some history. Indeed it is. The key with these suckers, as I said, 20,000 miles, yep. The key with these suckers is really just bait placement, and then you let it sit there in front of them, but you have to place the bait really well to have a chance, typically. There's a big big brown trout on the other side of the creek. He just went under a rock. But if he comes back out, I'll take a break from the suckers and cast at him. Talking about creek chubs, right? No, white suckers is what I'm talking about. Castostoma genus, I think it is. If you look up white suckers and then like you look up their scientific name, the one it's like Castostoma, that's the one I'm looking at. Steve is a local guy, one of my awesome members. Steve knows exactly where I'm at. Yes, Steve, that's exactly where I am. Let's see what people got to say. Have I seen Bigfoot yet today? Sharks in those waters? No. Talking about the dialect of Brits. Awesome, says Steve. Good luck. Thanks, Steve. Let me get my phone plugged in. Bear with me for the terrible camera angles for a moment as I get the power bank plugged in there. There we go. Seen Bigfoot yet today? No. Are you happy for the people in Venezuela? I generally try and stay out of politics. All I do want to say is, like, obviously there was a lot of issues going on there, and it's hard to say how a situation will impact people like right now, but I'm sure those people really want anything other than what they've got. So if it helps them in any way, then I guess it's worthwhile, because they were having a rough time. 1 minute left. All right, we better get back in there. Hard luck. Yeah, it's rough. You got to get a feel for the fish. Buenas noches, me contacta feliz. I know un poco español. I got one. He's pretty big. I just missed my 1 minute window. He's like hooked on the noggin. I watched him eat it and try and swim away. I guess when I hook set, he's right in the noggin. He's the biggest one in the pack. He was kind of the one I was targeting. Show it to, yeah, well, I'll show it to you. I'm gonna try and net him first. I don't know if I can net him from right here, but I'll give it a shot. If not, I'll have to walk down somewhere. Yeah, that's gonna be a no. I will return in one moment. Hold on. I'm gonna go walk down there a ways and get him netted, and I will be back. Please hold. I'll turn it so you can see me. All right, here we go. There's a fish. Hold on here. I'm gonna get down over here so I can hold him in the water. Don't want to hurt him. He's got some ice in it too, so I really don't want to like cut him up or anything. Hold on. Bear with me. The health and safety of the fish are more important than the viewers, unfortunately. It's a shame you lost by a minute. Do you want to double the 50? How's that work? He's a little fighter, yeah. Yeah, he's hooked right on top of his nose, not in his mouth. But I watched him. He tried to eat it, and as he swam off, the line got wrapped around his nose because I have polarized sunglasses on, and I watched him do it. The line got wrapped around his nose. When I hook set, popped out of his mouth and hooked him on the top of his nose because it was like wrapped around like a little coil. So I kind of whipped around, snagged him on top of his nose. I'll show you guys what it looks like, but I'm gonna count it. A lot of people would be like, it's not hooked in the mouth. That doesn't count. I count it if I know the intent of the fish was to eat the bait. So gotta catch a fish in 3 minutes this time. All right, let me deal with this fish and we'll try again. Whew. All right, let's get you guys positioned so you can see him. All right, bear with me. I'm trying to get the camera positioned. Hold on. If I turn this, then both those legs are here. Yep. All right, hold on. This should work. All right, look at that. Check that out. I'd count it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's all about the heart and the intention. That fish wanted to eat the bait, and he got hooked because he was trying to eat the bait, not because I'm trying to, like, snag him. Like, you guys see those big snagging trebles that people use for, like, paddle fish and stuff. That's not what I was doing to that fish. if I was trying to do that to the fish, I probably would have already caught 3. So. All right, so here's the fish. There he is. And look, the hook is actually like right in his nostril right there. That fish is dead. It's a planted fish you had inside your jacket already. All right, if you believe that, that's fine, but there's like 70 people in here who watched me catch it. Yeah, so he's hooked right in his nose. It's not like I hooked him in his back. So we're gonna hold him in the water here, try and get him unhooked. He's barely hooked. All right, here he is. White sucker, beautiful fish. Look at those mouths. Let him go. All right, he's swimming off strong. The hands are all slimy. Snip it off. Yeah, I got it. I unhooked it from his nose. He's cool. Let's see, you can actually see him in the water still. See him swimming right there? There he is. He's swimming off. All right, well, there it is. Let's get back. If you wet your hands ahead of time enough, your hands shouldn't be slimy. When your hands are slimy, you're taking off the protective coating. Yeah, no. I did wet my hands. That's red and cold. You're very much correct, especially with more fragile fish. Like there's wild brown trout in here. Absolutely have to wet your hands. Slime is their protection against bacteria. Who was this? Ben saying yes. Yeah, Ben is very correct. Slime is their protection against harmful bacteria, all that. It's actually a very similar reason to why we have mucus in our throats, because it's trying to protect us against sickness and infection and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you want to be careful. But what I do notice is, like, no matter how much you wet your hands with certain species like catfish, carp, suckers, which are in the same like general family as carp, you're gonna have slimy hands. There are some species where if you wet your hands, you really shouldn't have any. Bluegill, bass, if you wet your hands, you're not gonna have any. So but yeah, suckers and stuff, they actually have like big gloopy slime. It's gonna end up on your hands no matter what you do. It's just kind of like the reality of the stuff. When I went to net that fish, my hands got wet because I actually had to break up ice right on the edge. For example, this is ice right here. So when I went to net that fish, I had ice right on the edge, and I reach down here and break it up like this. So yeah, my hands were already wet. Don't you worry. All right, let's get you guys back up here. Yeah, and I fought that fish for a little bit longer than I wanted to, but on a smaller one, I would have just flipped him up and got him up here. But he was big enough, I had to go net him down further. It's good to be able to teach others, indeed, yes. It's more important with certain fish than it is with others. Like if you don't wet your hands with a bluegill, I promise you they're fine. Like not always. Like if you stab them, and like obviously there's other things that could go wrong, but like the hands wetting them, they're fine. Catfish, they're fine. Like even like flathead catfish can like survive like anything. Carp, they're probably fine. Suckers are probably fine, but like trout really need to do it. Certain like species of like dace, you should probably really do it. So yeah. Is it cold? Oh yeah. It's probably like 40 degrees in the water, something like that. It's 28 degrees out outside, like in the air right now. This creek is pretty much always super cold. It's a cold water stream. Trout need cold water to survive, and they are pretty much always here. For example, stock trout that you catch in your local creeks, they're going to die because the water heats up, like here in Pennsylvania. But this creek is always cold, has trout year round. So yeah, it's always cold, but it's even colder than normal because of the air temperature. Bullhead catfish are another species that have very gloopy slime. Yeah, a lot of minnow type species, which carp are just big minnows. A lot of minnow species and a lot of catfish species have really gloopy, thick slime. So suckers are one of those that's kind of expected. Yeah, my biggest concern was keeping that fish in the water. That's going to do more for the fish's health than anything else you could do. Like if they hit the ground and you're all concerned about cleaning them off, that's fine. If you're all concerned about making sure they have slime coat or make sure you unhook them properly, all those things are fine, and it's very good and important for the fish. The most important thing is making sure you don't deprive them of oxygen. That is the biggest thing. So that's my utmost priority, as you guys saw, was getting the fish back into the water in the net before I did anything else. That's by far the thing that's going to make the most difference in making sure fish mortality is okay. So let me go grab my stuff here. All right. Do you have any trout there? The water looks like it's hardly. No, there's a lot of trout here. I saw one or two as I was setting up in my spot here. There's a bunch of them in here. Lots of tiny browns, and occasionally you'll see a big one. It's rare that I hear of a big one caught. My buddy fishes here a lot, and he has caught a lot of big ones relative to what people typically do. He's caught like 3 or 4 over like 18 inches out of here, so. Looks like it's hardly moving. Well, this is probably one of the deepest pools, so it's gonna look like that. Because like physics-wise, like think of a hose. If you have the same volume of water moving through a smaller hose, it's gonna move faster and shoot further. Same volume water flowing through a deeper pool is going to move slower. Like there are lots of rapids and stuff in here. If you saw the beginning of the live, the section that I walked through to get across the creek, much quicker, much shallower than this. So how's the fishing? We got one white sucker, pretty big one, probably 18 inches I'd say. On the board, he was hooked right in his little nostril, but that's because he was kind of wrapped up in the line. I have that happen semi-frequently with suckers because you kind of have to get the bait right in front of them or underneath of them for them to try and eat it. So they end up getting tangled up a lot. I've actually caught a northern hog sucker from a local creek back further towards my house. I caught one where it was never even hooked. Its whole nose was just wrapped in the line. It had the bait in his mouth, but it was not hooked. It just wrapped in the line. So that was a really funny catch that I had back in like 2022. Is this Georgia? This is southeastern Pennsylvania. Correct. We're gonna go for another one. I forget who it was. Brown trout are the toughest of all 4 or 5 trout species and can handle the highest temperature water and the most turbidity. One tough critter, yeah. Still, obviously, much more, it's important still, but it's much more critical to wet your hands on trout than it is on the suckers. So that's something to consider. I forget who it was who was challenging me to a 3-minute challenge, but I'm probably gonna, if I can locate some more of the suckers, because they all moved when I hooked the one in the middle of the pod, the big one. If I can locate some more, I'll try again. They have like all vacated the area. Yeah, they're like out of here, man. I don't see any more suckers. So we might be making a move. Might be switching to some trout focus. You don't know. Or I don't know. What type of fish you catching? We have one big old white sucker on the board, and we're looking for our second fish of 2026 as we speak. There's some brown trout in here, some suckers, some sunfish, just basic stuff as well. But sunfish, chubs, dace, that stuff, of course. But there's some big suckers, which I always like, and some brown trout in here. So we're going to be looking around for those type of fish. Will's going to be up in Williamsport starting tomorrow, coming back to New Jersey Thursday. Be out fishing for trout and maybe smallmouth. Sweet. Good afternoon from Canada. Do I eat the fish? I do eat some, but not fish from this creek. You're not allowed to keep any from here. It's a protected area. So 5 minutes, you catch one. True from now. Don't know what that means. You'll have to clarify. I'm impressed. You seem to know your stuff. I'm trying. You should be fly fishing, of course. You mean using those? I've got them. And I might switch over to that if I'm not seeing any more suckers. I've caught suckers on the fly before. I actually caught one on my Tenkara rod. One pretty much the same size as the one I just caught. Which was really crazy, because if anybody knows about Tenkara, it's essentially a fly rod without a reel. And one that size pulling hard without a reel is kind of funky, because, you know, they're trying to go places and you don't have any give. You can't give them any drag. They're just pulling you around on that rod. That was a fun catch. I had to jump in the water to go get it. All sorts of fun stuff with that one. That was before I started the channel, so that's not on footage. But there's a couple key catches in my life that I'm like, man, that would have been a fun one to have the camera rolling, because I did it before I did YouTube. And yeah, that's definitely one of them. My Palomino trout. That one would have been fun. I've only ever caught one Palomino, and that was before I did YouTube. So my Palomino trout, my PB bass, all sorts of fun stuff like that I just don't have on camera. So, well, I would vacate the area if I saw my buddy disappear into the sky after freaking out. Yes, I understand that sentiment. We're going to take a look over here, see if we can spot any trout, and then we may get a fly rod rigged up just to mess around with and see what we can do with it. Sometimes there's some fish cruising around in this section, because this section's kind of deep too. I've not taken a cast yet. Ooh, there's some more suckers in there. That is going to be hard to get into because there's sticks in front of it. But can we? That's the question. That would be hard, but there's some suckers right. The casting angle would be super wacky. Maybe from right here I could get into it. We're gonna give it a shot. Why not? Found any bodies while fishing? No, have not. I'm in southeastern PA near the Schuylkill, but most of the crime-related stuff happens down towards Philly, not in my area, because I'm further upriver than that. All right, we're gonna try and get in here without spooking these suckers and see if we can get a cast in there. There's a trout. He's over there. And I'm Snag. See, that's the problem here. And they're all moving. I got my rig back, but I'm got all those suckers spooked. because I snagged that branch. Yeah, that's a tough casting angle in between those logs. Starts now. All right, get another worm on and get back to casting before my time is out. Get another worm on. Right. See if we can get back to some area where there's some suckers. I will switch over to the fly rod and start moving around here momentarily, but we'll try and finish out the 3-minute challenge that I accepted right here. Yeah, so they all vacated once I snagged that stick. That's great. They are gone. Just walk up here. Might as well scan this area. I've caught a trout or two. Actually, my first ever brown trout I caught was from here. My first ever brown was a wild brown, and I caught it from standing right here. But I'm not seeing any. Sight fished him with a gulp maggot, I believe. Yeah, this is a little bit shallower area for sure. I think I'm running out of time here. That's all right. I'm very blessed to have enough money that I don't need a YouTube donation, but you know, if it's fair game, I'm up for the challenge. Yeah, we've got some deeper water over here, but after I caught that first sucker, everyone kind of left the scene. What state is this? Pennsylvania. My hands are getting cold. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try and cast to this rock where that big brown trout's hiding. Gotta get a good cast in there and we'll see what we can do. That's not a bad cast. Took a minute to get one in there. Gulp maggots are deadly for nearly any tiny fish. Do you have an upstream and a downstream? Yes. I'm just not near as familiar with the downstream stretch. We might go down there for a little bit, see what's there, but I'm much more familiar with the upstream stretch, and we don't have a ton of time, so we'll go down there, but I imagine we'll probably end up working up, if anything. So you never know, though. Could find something good. I just got a beauty of a cast up under this rock. Regardless of whether I get anything, I'm gonna let it sit there because, man, that was a really good cast. There's a nice big piece of concrete slab I imagine from building this wall or the one downstream, just laying there, and there's a little kick up under it, so stuff can sit up under there. And I watched a big trout go under there not too long ago, so I'm gonna let it sit under there for a minute, see if anything comes out and grabs it. It took a minute to get a good cast in there, but I have it sitting up underneath that slab. We'll let it sit, see if anything's there, and then I'll reel up on it, hope something's there. I think my 3 minutes is probably up. So do you have a current? Yes. Current is going away from the camera that way. So if my 3 minutes runs out and they call time, I'm going to argue that I have the ability to reel up on, and if there's a fish on the hook when I reel up on it, that counts. I don't know. I guess the viewers can decide. I imagine some of the suckers could have gone under that rock too. There's actually a bunch of fish that just came out from the rock, and a couple of them are trout. We're gonna reel up, see if anything's up under there. Nope. But there are trout here now. Hold on, there's trout. The benefit of the doubt. There's a couple trout.
As I was running up to the, I was like shaking my hands because I was numb. I couldn't feel it. So.
So I am seeing a couple trout now. They're bopping around. Time's up. That's all right. Polarized glasses are the bomb, aren't they? Yes. I love them. And these, I've showed you guys these on a couple videos, but I know on live streams a lot of you guys are new. These glasses, they are made by KZ. They're the KZ Lagos, I believe, or they're the Brox. I forget which one they are. They've got a couple different shapes, but I like this one. Pretty good lenses. Their lenses don't like sunscreen. I did a whole video on that, but most polarized sunglasses lenses, unless you get into really high price points, don't do well with like any aerosolized chemical. It kind of wears away at the coating there. But they're super comfortable, but the nice thing about them is they float. So I used to wear like a strap around the back of my sunglasses to keep them on my head while I'm doing kayaking and fishing, because if they fall in, they're just going to sink. But these float. So much nicer not having to wear a strap, but I also don't have to worry about them. They're really, really cool, and they're like $40. So as far as good sunglasses go, that's not bad price point. Victoria Irwin, hey, how was your test? Let me know. Hopefully that all went well. Oh. Victoria, we got one big white sucker on the board. We're looking for fish number 2 right now. All right, so I'm seeing a couple little trout bop around. I think I'm gonna get a fly rod rigged up. Sounds good. Test was mostly good, a bit crazy. Well, as long as it's less crazy than the last one was, I guess we're in a good spot. I don't think you'd categorize any part about the last one as mostly good. So that's good. Alrighty. So I can put like a little, I'm thinking, because I have my 2 weight, and my 2 weight has, I'm trying to think of what flies to rig up, because I do have 2 fly rods. I've got my 2 weight here, and I've got my 6 weight, 5/6 weight there. If I'm gonna rig up a nymph, like a bigger nymph with one, I'd do it on the bigger one, and that could be for suckers and big trout. So I think I'm gonna do a tiny nymph on this one and mess around with that on the 2 weight. That's what I think I'm gonna go for here. Let's see what I got in my box.
I think this one is here is really pretty crazy.
Alright, we got a little nymph on there on the fly rod. I'm gonna reconnect chat. Bear with me for 2 seconds. I'll disappear. Alright, I'm back. Alright, we got a little nymph on there. Let's cast, let it drift, see if something comes up and grabs it. You never know. We're in there. There's a sucker. See if I can get that nymph to drift under that rock where all those tiny trout came from. That'll give us a shot. Let me flip the camera around. Looks like in Pennsylvania. Yes, it is. We are at Valley Creek in the middle of Valley Forge National Park. We got one white sucker. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. We got one white sucker on the board. And we're going for a trout or another sucker now. We're looking for our second fish of 2026. I think I'm going to move here in a moment because most of the fish have vacated. So I think I'm going to...
Catch anything?
I got one on the board so far. Yeah.
Do you worry about the pollution in this stream? I've been wanting to fish here,
So
people tell me it's polluted.
So my comment would be, like scientifically, one of the most sensitive fish in a creek ecosystem to changes in water quality is white suckers, and that's what I caught today. White suckers are one of, like, if there's white suckers in the creek is at least marginally clean and good. If I would only worry if the white suckers start disappearing in terms of pollution here.
Great.
So
then I'll have to hit this one up because I always see the fish and I'm like, this looks like a pretty nice spot, but like, there's like a sign down there that says polluted water. I'm like, I don't know if I should fish this.
I don't know exactly like what the reasons for it are, but I listen to a lot of people who talk about like the ecological standpoint of fishing and hunting and all that sort of stuff. And white suckers are like one of the biggest indicators that a creek's health is generally still okay.
That's good to know.
And they're here.
Sweet. All right. Well, then I'll hit up the stream.
Yeah.
Thanks for the tip.
No problem. Just me doing YouTube. Stuart is a member for 9 months as of now. Thanks for hanging with me on the membership side. I guess we are getting up there in terms of how long I've been doing memberships. For anyone who is interested in becoming a member, as I've told many people, there is no pressure to do so. I do my best to always get out the best stuff I can for public viewers, but essentially the idea for my personal membership here on YouTube, I can't get these sunglasses back on my head, but my membership program is essentially giving people who are committed to me a little bit of sneak peek, a little bit of behind the scenes extra stuff that maybe I wouldn't put out on public. So for 99 cents a month, the lowest YouTube allows you to make memberships, you can get access to members only posts, more just behind the scenes stuff, members only videos, which is essentially like probably more raw, less edited clips of things I'm working on, things I'm doing, fun stuff that I see, just kind of things that maybe I can't flesh out into a better video idea for public. I'll put back behind the scenes for members so you guys get to see the whole picture of everything I'm doing, not just the really good stuff that I'll put out for public. And then and you get member-only live streams where you actually get to come up on panel and interact with me and interact with other members, not just chat with me through text. You can actually come up on panel and have a discussion with me, which are always super fun. Members in the chat can tell you all about that. That's a good time. For an additional $1 a month, $1.99 a month, you get access to sneak peek preview video stuff. So stuff that's going to end up in a public video, but is probably a month, 2 months, 3 months, even 5 or 6 months down the road. I have out on early access for members. So members have already seen some cool fishing catches that aren't out yet. You guys recently saw that grass carp video I put out. Members saw that the day it happened back in June, and I just put that out last month. So they got a super early sneak preview to that. they get sneak preview. They got sneak preview of my gold panning video a couple months before it. They got to see what I found, me looking at the gold, that sort of stuff. They got to see that. They got a tour of the cabin we stayed at in Colorado, all that sort of stuff. So if you're interested in becoming a member, that stuff is available. I know that someone could possibly elaborate on this for me. I know that for Apple phones, the membership link is harder to find, so I can work on getting a better system for you guys. If that's something that's hard to access if you have an Apple phone, just let me know, and I can totally try and get a better system for you. And then there is one membership tier left. That is for $4.99, $5 a month. There's no extra benefits to that. That's just if you really like me, you really like what I'm doing on the channel, and you feel led to financially support me, that offers a way that you can give a little bit more. I only have one member on that tier. That is Steve, Fishing with Steve. He's an awesome dude. He loves helping out the community. We fish with him occasionally on the channel. He's a great dude, but that membership level is available, but only if you feel led to financially support me. There's no extra like perks you get. But yeah, if you're interested in becoming a member, like Stuart, who's been hanging with me on the membership side for 9 months, you can totally do that. No pressure to do so, but I tried to make it cheap and accessible if you want a little bit of extra behind the scenes stuff. So yeah, hello from England, doing good. Nancy Drew's in here. Nancy Drew was my 1,000th subscriber, so that's pretty awesome. What flies you brought with you? I don't have many of yours because yours tend to be a little bit larger. We're going for wild browns. We're using little tiny guys today. I have a couple of yours, but not many. We're going natural and we're going tiny, which typically isn't as much of the style that you typically send me. So I don't have many of yours today, but I do use them. So Stuart from Just Me Doing YouTube has sent me, yeah, but this is like a size 20. You gave me like size 12s, which are great for like stockies, but these are not stocks. They are wild browns. Yeah, I don't have like super small stuff. I have some of your stuff in the box, but yeah. Anyway, we are probably going to make a move, probably a little bit downstream from here. See what's down there. I don't fish downstream from this spot much. This is usually a little bit like, this is usually the lowest point on the creek that I fish, because I typically park way upstream, but we parked a little bit closer today so I can adventure further down without an issue. KK says, are you married? No, I'm only 18 years old, but I do have a very awesome girlfriend who was just in the chat talking to me not too long ago, checking in. She had a fancy test she had to do to like skip certain levels of bio for college, because she took bio in high school, but because of some weird circumstances, which would be too long to explain, she didn't get credit for it, even though she could have. So she has to take this placement exam to like skip the bio. She did that today online. And I was asking her how it went, but yeah, we've been dating for 1.5 years, and she's pretty awesome. So, yeah, we're gonna end up moving downstream. Let's do that. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but it says have a good day. To you as well. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. So Stuart, here's what the smaller side of my box looks like. I do have your stuff in here. A lot of this stuff at the bottom was made by Stuart, who's in chat. But I'm probably going to end up using a lot of this top row stuff, like stuff above here, because, like this stuff, because everything in here is tiny and likes tiny stuff. So right, y'all, we got 60 people still hanging out in here. 64 thumbs up. Thank you, guys. Having a pretty good viewership live today. We only got one fish on the board, but it was a fun one. Had some good environmental protection talks when we got that fish too, which is always good to educate people. But go hunting now. We're gonna go take a look and see if we can find any more in the general area. Gonna go downstream, check around for a little bit, maybe walk half a mile down there, start working our way back up, and just see what we can do until it starts to get a little bit dim. How old are you? I'm 18 years old. Turned 19 in four months. Yes, 4 months. All right, grab the rods and we'll get moving. Oh my gosh. Take a listen, ready? So this is foam. This is a floating net. So I can use it on my kayak. But because I put this in the water, which is super cold, brought it out into the air, and now I've had it sitting there for a couple minutes. Listen to this when I move it. It's all ice. It's like crackly. The whole foam is turned to ice. If you don't believe me that it's cold, there's your proof. It's like 20, 27, 28 degrees Fahrenheit, that is. I don't know what that is in Celsius. -4, something like that. So probably like -3, because if 32 Fahrenheit is 0 Celsius, it's just barely negative in Celsius. So, like -2, -3, somewhere in that range. Fish. Yes, that's what we're doing. Holy croap. Holy croap. I don't know what I was trying to say. Could have been crab, could have been smokes. It was something. Holy croap. So, look how beautiful this area is. It's just such a beautiful nature area. I don't know if you can hunt anywhere in Valley Forge. But you can fish, you can hike, you can bike. There's some cool historic scenes. It's a really cool spot. It really is. I think these are birch trees up here. These white ones. The white peely bark. I think those are birches. -2.2 Celsius. There you go. See, I knew it was somewhere in that range. Because 212 degrees Fahrenheit is boiling, 100 degrees is boiling in Celsius, 0 is freezing in Celsius, and 32 is freezing in Fahrenheit. So the amount of actual temperature difference per degree in Celsius is more. So even though it's a 4-degree difference in Fahrenheit, it should be less than 4 degrees different in Celsius between freezing and the current temperature. It is below freezing. We're gonna come down here, fly around, see what I can see. If I'm not liking what I'm seeing, we're moving, because we're in exploration mode now. At least for the next like 30 minutes, we're exploring. All right, we're back. Your football team lost? Football as in football, soccer? The one where you kick the ball into the goal? Or football as in like throw the ball, it's oblong and brown? Which one? Happy New Year, everyone's saying. A bit pixelated. All right, we'll make a move. Thanks for the update. Love from India. Not a good day today. Picture's better now. Soccer. All right, cool. See, if you said it and I heard in which like context you said it, I would be able to tell. But from words on the screen, tough to tell which one people mean. Because I know you are familiar with American football. I remember the year the Chiefs and the 49ers play. You were intrigued in what was going on in that game. I am. All right, ready? I'll give you a hint. Can anyone guess what team I like? What are you fishing for? What kind of fish? Fishing for pike? Yeah, we're going for trout and white suckers today. Those are the primary targets. Check out these. I think they're birch trees, if my knowledge serves me correctly. So, not these. Those are. That's a sycamore, but those white ones up through the trees, you can see they got the white peely bark. I think those are big old birches. That's a walnut. I know that one. I don't know what these are. These might be baby walnuts. That's my best guess. Big walnuts off to the left. Big birch trees over there. All sorts of fun stuff. This is, I think that's a big walnut right there. Paper bark, yeah. They got the white peeling style thin bark. If you refer to it as paper bark, I suppose that makes sense. I'm gonna fold in the tripod legs so I got a little bit more maneuverability. We're gonna walk through these trees, go and see what the water looks like right here. We also have a 9-foot rod. Ooh. Ooh. Look at this. Yeah, there's those birches I was talking about. Check out this spot. I don't know if there's a good way to get to the water here, but it is a beautiful spot. I have fished the whole stretch of this creek that's within the confines of Valley Forge Park, but it was a long time ago I did that. And creeks always change a little bit each year with flooding and weather, all that sort of stuff. They always change a little bit. We're gonna get back to the main path, or at least try to. Yeah, I want to get a little bit better at my tree knowledge. I know about the ones that are helpful to me, like walnuts, drop walnuts, obviously. Squirrels love them. I've gone squirrel hunting. Sorry about the weird camera angle there. But maples, very similar story. Got acorns and, I'm losing my mind. Rather. It is oaks with acorns. Am I losing my mind still? I don't know. I'm having a brain fart. But oaks, 2 maples. We've got sugar maples in our front yard, so I better know what they look like. Yeah, I mean, sycamores. I know a decent bit about sycamores. Birch. Know some birch stuff. Here's a good spot. But yeah, I want to brush up my tree game a little bit. Getting into a couple other things. I'm always getting into more stuff in my outdoor journey. I just want to be super well-rounded in my outdoor pursuit. This is a nice little spot. Oh look, we got a mallard over there. Hopefully our connection is stable here. Reconnect. Let me know what the quality of video is looking like too. But yeah, that sort of stuff. Duck hunting is on the radar. Pheasant hunting, that too. Bird hunting seems cool. I'm gonna turn this camera around. 38 people back in here after the connection lapse. Let me know what our video quality is looking like. Someone give me a chat here. This is a great little spot. Great looking little spot. Make a couple more casts and I might move down there just a little bit further. Video quality is not great. Okay. It might just be this whole section of creek, so we're gonna move slightly. So like maybe 50 feet further down. See if that clears it up, because sometimes that's all it takes. It's better now that you're close. Huh. But yeah, we're just gonna bop around this spot for a minute and then head back up towards the truck. I want to get one more fish. It'd be really unfortunate to not get at least one more. Right here. It's a little tilted. There you go. My fly line is freezing. Nice little roll cast up in there. And my fly line is actively freezing on every cast. Next week, is that when that is? Huh. I'm thinking, do I have anything? Next weekend, which is, so it's in January now? It used to be in February. January. So today's Saturday the 3rd. January 10th, do I have anything going on? I might. January 9th to 11th. Huh. Turnpike Bridge. No, I'm not. Yeah. It used to be February. I will have to look at my schedule. I might have work on the 10th. But I don't see why I couldn't go on the 9th after classes or anything like that. Like I think I could go. You planning on going, Will? Or is anybody else in the community planning on going that you know of? It is getting increasingly harder to fish with this because my fly line is freezing as we speak. Oh my gosh, it's just getting stiff. Bob and I were discussing possibly going Friday. Yeah, I have both your numbers, and you have obviously you have both mine and Bob's. If you could like set up maybe a group chat or whatever, we could coordinate that. Cause wait, no. If it's the hold on, yeah. If it's the 9th, I don't even have classes because I'm still on break. What am I saying? Yeah, no, I could definitely go the 9th. So if you could like send a group chat message or something, like I could probably do that. Are you going after Blue Geeky or Bass EC? Heck, even Crappy. Good lord, you guys are nuts. We are going after Trout Outie. I don't know. Trout Outie. That'll work. If I do, I probably want to fish Valley Creek either before or after going to the show. Yeah. I will figure out what I'm planning on doing. But yeah, this is getting hard, man. my fly line is just freezing. So what we might do is go seek out some other, and the other fly line's just gonna freeze too. It's just getting stiff. Look at this. There's like an actual bend, like a little elbow, frozen into my fly line. Oh my gosh. But yeah, let me know what you're planning on doing as soon as possible. I'll get in contact with you and Bob, whatever. You can send a little message or whatever. I think Bob and I are gonna ice fish Monday, maybe Tuesday, all that stuff. I'm probably gonna try and ice fish a couple of these days for half the day. I got to do some work for my dad. So depending on what Bob and I are doing, I might go like out in the morning and then come back in the afternoon, work, or work in the morning, go out. I'll figure that out with Bob, and then yeah, if you and Bob are planning on going to the show, I didn't even know it. I always just assumed it was in February, and like I'll look mid-January. But if they moved it to January, I guess that's great because I can go while still on winter break from college. Yeah, let me know, and I'll figure out what I plan to do. But I will definitely look at doing that then. So, yep, that's a-okay with me. I don't know if I'm planning to film or what. I've done two videos on the channel just kind of walking through the show and all sorts of stuff. Might film shorts if I see something interesting, or do reviews on products I get. I don't think I'm planning on explicitly filming though. There you go. Will's on it. I just got a group text from Bob and Will. Bob from Anything Is Possible. Will's on the job. All right. We're gonna, because as I said, my fly line is freezing. It's getting stiff and all that stuff. Do vids like Outdoor Boys. Like not like exactly like them, but yeah, I do a lot of the same things. I love bushcrafting stuff. I've built shelters in the past, done some bushcraft projects. Love cooking outdoors, love fishing, love hunting, all sorts of stuff. Do a lot of archery content. So like, if you like that, you will probably like what I do on the channel if you've never seen me. But yeah, go check it out. I do all sorts of stuff: gold panning, slingshot, shepherd sling, archery, fishing, bushcraft, cooking outside, backpacking, kayak camping, hunting. Like, it's all out there. We got more stuff coming out all the time. So yeah, honey. Bread that he made over the stove or whatever that was. I said that, but yeah. Do you talk and show yourself like he does? Because I want to watch again, but he doesn't post. Yeah, like I explain pretty much everything I'm doing. That's my whole shtick. Like I love learning, so I do a lot of stuff that I've never done before, and like take you guys along for the journey. I'm not an expert on everything I show you. Sometimes it's just you guys learning along with me and me sharing what I'm learning. But I do a lot of explaining what I'm doing, or like what I'm trying, and whether that worked or whether it didn't. And I just try and be as informational as possible. So if you like the information side of that, definitely you'll probably like what I'm doing. Have you pulled a speckled peacock bass? No. But believe it or not, my girlfriend and I are likely, nothing's finalized yet, but we're likely going to take a trip down over my and her spring break to see her grandma and her aunt in South Florida. I'm going to bring my Infinite Mini modular travel rod system. I've done a whole review video on that on the channel, and if you want to see it in more explicit action, like just over this course of a trip, I brought it down to St. Petersburg, Florida when we went down there. But it's a really cool modular travel system. I'm going to be bringing that. It's not a fishing trip. It's a trip to enjoy with my girlfriend, meet some of her family who I've never met before. But they've got canals and stuff everywhere. I'm going to bring a rod. There's a lot of peacock bass around there, so I definitely have the chance to pull out I think it's butterfly peacock bass that are in that area, but you never know. I'll have a couple instances to fish, toss in a line. I'll bring my GoPro, of course. Not going to make too much of a big deal about it, because that's not what that trip is about at all, but I'm sure I will go down there and catch a couple things that will be interesting, and you guys will get to see it eventually. So, yeah. South Africa, but if seen, that got big bass there. Subbed, definitely gonna watch. Well, thank you. Good to meet you. What are you fishing for today? Today, we're fishing for white sucker and wild brown trout. We have one big white sucker on the board already. but fishing has generally been slow. We had a big pod of white sucker. I caught one out of the middle of them. They all disappeared, and that's really the only big pod of fish that we've seen all day. So we're looking for a couple more. I'm gonna head back upstream towards my truck and start to see if I can find some more suckers. That's kind of what I'm going to hone in on for the rest of the day, because I've been using my fly rods for trout, and it is so cold that my line is actively freezing as I'm fishing. So there's not much I can do about that. We're just going to switch back to the spinning rod and see if we can get it done on 1 or 2 more suckers. That's the goal. But yeah, all right, we're going to get moving back upstream, see if we can locate suckers. If we can, we're going to go after, the goal is 1 more sucker. That's a reasonable goal for the rest of the day. We'll see if we can hit that. I'm not going to get too fancy. 1 more sucker and I'd be very happy. Sorry, it just like this spot. The quality's bad now too, but it reconnected. I'm going to try and get some good ice fishing in at the beginning of this week while it's still cold. Back up. We're going to hit creeks, we're going to hit lakes, whatever, in our fishing progress. We might, do some more archery practice, that sort of stuff. 5 people in here. Viewership dropped off drastically with that connection lapse. So we went from like 60 to 5. All right. We can weave our way back our initial spot, check that for suckers, and then if we can't find any, we're going to work around. Yeah, blurry. This particular spot I was standing doesn't have good cellular connection, so we're moving, don't worry. Anthony Serrano's back in the house. He's a semi-frequent flyer on the channel. Thanks for coming in. We got 1 fish on the board for 2026. We're looking for number 2. It's getting much better very quickly. Well, we just ran into another connection lapse, so hopefully everything's still working out well. All right, we're good. Always a light coming your way, Nolan. Well, thank you very much. It's cold out. I think the temperature is probably dropping because the sun is starting to go down. It's not directly overhead. Will might be able to look up. I'll answer that comment in a minute. That's funny. Will knows where I am. Will might be able to look up the temperature. I think it's right around 28, but it might be lower now. I don't know. User KY, bunch of letters, says, "Are you a Mr. T fan? Why do you always keep saying suckers?" Nope. Well, I guess to some extent I'm a Mr. T fan. Not many 18-year-olds probably even know who that is, but I do. But no, that's not why I'm saying that. There's actually a fish that is technically named suckers. It's a whole group of fish. What we're targeting today is white sucker. In Pennsylvania, there are 2 main types of suckers, at least in my area of Pennsylvania. There are white suckers, and there are eastern or northern hog suckers. I've caught both of them. I've only caught 2 northern hog suckers. I've probably caught like 30 white suckers. They're much more common. So, but no, that's funny. Am I a Mr. T fan? That's good. Come to Canada. Well, there's lots of cool stuff to do in Canada. Awesome ice fishing opportunities. Gold panning stuff, which I love. 30 degrees Fahrenheit feels like 26. So I imagine the feels like might be dropping because it was 28 earlier when I was outside shooting my bow. And it feels colder than it did then. So I don't know. Mark Gold's in here, awesome viewer, Mark Gold's a knowledgeable guy about fishing and gold panning, so he likes that style of my content, but he's a committed viewer who watches a lot of my stuff. I love my viewership. My community is really awesome. Like Raptor Will, he's a fishing guy, but Raptor Will watches pretty much everything I do. Mark, gold panning and fishing, watches a lot of my other stuff. Randy and the squad and Herbert, they do a little bit of fishing, but mostly like bushcraft camping stuff, but they watch all my stuff. Woodsman, Ozark's Woodsman, camping and archery, but he still watches my other stuff as well. There's so many people, I can't mention everybody, but who like what I do, and like me enough to kind of watch everything I do, which is more appreciated than you guys may realize. Still looks like the suckers have dispersed from this area. I'll take a more in-depth look around for a moment. So I just got a text from Bob saying he's going to a bigger lake for ice fishing tomorrow. I probably can't go that far, but it's been cold all day, sub-freezing. It was safe ice yesterday. It's probably even thicker now. I might be willing to go out on the ice alone tomorrow, depending on how thick it is. Raptor Will, I know you're frequently in Bob's lives. Do you know how thick he said it was today? If you can give me a gauge on that, I can do some FDD calculations. I learned how to do that with the help of the internet to figure out like what the theoretical thickness is for tomorrow. And if it's like 6.5 or more, I'd go out by myself. I don't really go out on anything below 4 ever, pretty much. And I won't really go out on anything below 6 by myself. But if it's like 6.5, I'd probably go by myself tomorrow. So for ice fishing, I'll do another live for you guys if you would like. Need to get my 2026 PA and New Jersey fishing licenses. I'll either get it while I'm there or on the way. Yeah, I have one through 2027. I bought like a 3-year one, so I'm good. He wasn't live today, but yesterday was 7 to 8 inches at the local spot. Really? All right, so it should be real good. I will go out ice fishing tomorrow. Whether it's by myself, whether someone joins me, whatever. I will be out at Bob's typical spot. Give him an ice report, all that. Tomorrow. I imagine Bob won't mind. I'm not bringing like a whole posse of people. It'll just be me. But yeah, I'll be out ice fishing tomorrow. Yesterday was 7 to 8 inches, and it was cold yesterday and today. So we should be 8, at least 8 at the minimum. So we should be really good on ice thickness for tomorrow. I see no suckers. Unfortunate. It's definitely getting dimmer. I put on the polarized glasses and everything looks dark. Spider Charles says, "Hi, I'm Charles. Nice to meet you. Happy New Year, young man." Thanks, Mark. We put out one short on New Year's Day. That was a fun one if you haven't watched it. That was a little fun experiment I did. I really enjoyed that. Learned some stuff. Learning's always good. But yeah, it is 4:18. I think the sun here sets at like 4:40. So my truck is like right there. So we just got to work our way, be in the general vicinity of the truck as it starts to get darker. We're going to work our way up the stream a little bit more, look for a couple more suckers, but it might end up being that one, which I don't love because as you guys saw, for those of you guys who were in here when I did it, that sucker was on his nose, not in his mouth. And I explained it, but he was kind of like wrapped up in the line. So when I set the hook, he got hooked on his nose, even though he was biting the bait. But like, and I don't feel dishonest about it. And like, I'm not lying to you guys that that's what happened. But like, it feels a little weird to have the only fish of the day be like hooked in the nose instead of the mouth. Don't love that. So I'd really like to catch another one if we can before we leave. Sunset is at 4:49. Yeah. We'll be light for a little bit longer past that, but it's only just going to keep getting dimmer past the point in time. So we'll probably be packing up right around that time. That's going to be my general goal. Just look around, see what there is here. Okay, so there's something that just ate on the surface over there, which that would make sense to be a trout. So, see what that is. There you go. This is cool. Oh, it just flew away. There was a nice big blue heron. I was going to show you guys, and it flew away. That's what I get. So, we're going to abandon fly rods for the moment. My worm is also frozen. I was telling you guys my fly line was freezing. Worm's frozen. Everything's freezing. Cast that over to the other side, let that drift. Right, it's starting to melt when it hits the water there. Still mostly clear, but not great. Video quality just took a massive hit. Okay. Alright, I can see my truck. Truck is there. So we're like close to the truck. I can fish here for a little bit. And I'm snagged. Good Lord. So now my line snapped. Somehow we have a gigantic tangle all in the span of like half a second. Not sure I understand what happened here. Usually I can put my finger pretty well on like how a tangle occurred, but I have no idea how that just happened. So I'm not re-rigging this. So now we're fly only for the rest of the day. I mean, we're not skunked, but not the greatest fishing trip ever. We got one sucker who half foul hooked himself. It gets better when I'm closer to the camera and gets worse when you move away. Maybe I'm an antenna. I don't know. It's using my body as an antenna. But yeah, not the greatest day of fishing ever. No trout. Only one sucker so far, and he's like half foul hooked himself. We got freezing line. We got tangled reels. Goodness, 15 people in here still hanging out despite the current struggles. See if we can just get the line untangled. The answer might be no. Oh wait, we still have the hook. The split shot just came off. I'm confused. What the heck is going on? How does something tangle in such a way? It's up underneath the bail. There's a spring under there that should prevent such a thing. I've taken apart enough reels to know how this works. But it's not working like it should. we go. Making progress. All right, here we go. All right, just reeled it up into the. We're fine. Just move on at this point. Asmazole. Asmaciel. Asmaciel. That's my best guess. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Says, hi, how are you? Hi with many eyes. We're doing okay. We got a fish on the board, and really, we can be thankful for that. And now I'm hooked in the jacket. But yeah, we can be thankful for the fact that we got a fish on the board. And we can let go of the fact that right now I've got a hook in my jacket, and we had a tangle, and I really thought we were gonna get 2 or 3 fish for sure. But yeah, we're doing okay. That's the response. Come on, hook. I don't even understand how you are hooked this well. You should not be hooked this well. It's in like one thread of fabric and I can't get it out. Okay, what the heck? What the heck? Oh my gosh. Alright, here we go. Crimp the barb. Work it backwards. Got it out. Okay. We're struggling, but and all the guides are frozen. Look at that. They're all frozen. At this point we might just go back to the truck. We caught 1 fish. Oh my goodness. All the guides are frozen. I can't, what the heck? You have to dip it to unfreeze it, and then that new water freezes, and then you got to dip it again to unfreeze it, and it's just an endless loop. I have decided that we're going back to the truck for the day, because the cold has beaten me. I'm okay. The cold has beaten me. I'm okay, but my gear is struggling. We got the line freezing, we got the guys freezing, and we got the fish. I can't complain because we do have a fish. In the winter is actually usually pretty productive because you can get on top of the fish, present stuff super finesse. Open water fishing in the winter, like you can't get too mad about getting 1 fish. So, we got ourselves a nice sucker. First fish of the year. He was hooked in a funky way, but he counts in my book. And at least I know Raptor Will said he'd count him as my book. And at least I know Raptor Will said he'd count him as well, given the circumstances. But yeah, we're gonna walk back to the truck, call it a day. My toes are cold. Got and we did also fish. We'll be out ice fishing tomorrow. I don't know if we'll be ice fishing in the morning or in the evening, but yeah, just keep an eye out. Sometime tomorrow, between the times of, I don't know, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time or New York time, depending on if you're international, you may know it by that. But sometimes between then and like 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I will be live. All right, pop down in here, maybe. Oh, that's a little rough. And we'll do it. Because I can at least see the route from here. Don't mind me for a moment as I slide myself down this hill. All right, we made it. Walk across, get back to the truck. Call it a day. We got one fish. We were successful. Regardless of the degree to which we were successful, we were successful. Oh, I'm getting caught. My camera's caught. All right. Whew. We're back. Here's the truck. Being outdoors is successful, indeed. You can go right here. All right. You know what I probably should have done is keep my life straw. Let's not show you my license plate. Whoops. What I should have done is keep my life straw close to my body, because if these things freeze, then they no longer work. I'll have to check and make sure that's good. I don't think it was, because it does have like a layer of insulation in there. I think it was outside for long enough to where it should be an issue, but I'll have to check that. So keep that in that pocket, make sure it's warm, because if it freezes, it'll crack. And then those fibers that filter out all the bad stuff are no longer continuous, and stuff can get through those cracks and such. I believe that's the idea. All right, back at the truck. Get the bag, the glasses and such, put away. All right. Let's get the I'm gonna get back